That's good.
First thing I need to do to make pastramis is make a wet brine. I'm on a 5% brine, so I need to know how much it's going to weigh. I believe it's going to take 2 gallons of water to cover my 2 fairly large-sized briskets. So I need to know how much a gallon of water weighs. Anyone know? It's a trick question. 1 gallon of 200-degree water weighs less than 1 gallon of 40-degree water. For the sake of what we're doing, we're going to call it 8 pounds per gallon. I'm going to say 8 pounds times 454 grams equals 3,632 times 2 gallons I need. 7,264. That's a stupid number. I'm going to round up. I'm going to call it 7,500. 7,500 grams times 5%. 375. That's how much salt I need. My scale, got my bucket. I've zeroed it all out. I want to add about 1,500 grams of hot water. To that, 375 grams kosher salt. You can use any salt as long as it's not iodized. No iodized salt. Going to add 375 grams raw sugar. You can use white sugar, you can use brown sugar, whatever knocks your socks off. I don't care. We're going to mix that up. So next ingredient, purely optional. This is pink curing salt number 1. Regular table salt, 0.625% of sodium nitrite. We're going to use this at 0.25%. You can use it up to 0.25% of the weight of the water and the meat. I'm just going to do 0.25% the weight of the water because it's completely optional. So not necessary for the curing process. If you do not use this, your finished product will be gray, not that pink. Just using that amount will be enough to make it pink. It'll give it that charcuterie vibe to the flavor. Now I'm just going to stir this up. We'll give it a minute there. Next, we'll go over to the stove. Now I'm going to go toast up my spices. I'm going to take a cold pan and turn it on to just over low, between low and medium. I'm going to take a 6-inch chunk of cinnamon stick, break it in half, stick it in there. Next, I'm going to take a couple of these, anise, just don't confuse it with the star of anise and we'll be okay. I'm going to take 2 of those, I'm going to toast them. Turn my heat up to medium. Let those go for a minute. Once I start smelling them, so you're already starting to smell them, add a little allspice. For my 2 gallons of brine, that was 2 teaspoons or about 4 grams of allspice. I'm also going to add 1 teaspoon, or about 2 grams of whole cloves. Once I can smell that coming off the pan, I'm going to add 2 tablespoons, or about 25 grams of black peppercorns. I'm also going to add 1 tablespoon, or about 9 grams, juniper berries. This is kind of a wild card ingredient, but I'm going to add 1 tablespoon, or about 15 grams, of fenugreek seeds. Don't let it burn. You can almost see the oil coming off of that juniper already, so I might turn it down just a teeny tiny bit. I'm going to add a teaspoon or 2 grams of coriander. I'm going to add 2 tablespoons or about 20 grams of dill seed. I'm going to add 1 tablespoon or about 12 grams mustard seed. Last thing I'm going to do, I'm going to add 1 tablespoon or about 10 grams celery seed. And I'm going to add 1 tablespoon or about 7 to 8 grams of chili flakes. Got about a dozen cloves of garlic. I'm just gonna smash it real quick with my knife. And then my ginger. I've washed this, I'm not even gonna worry about peeling it. I did wash it real good because it's ginger, it grows in the ground. I'm just gonna cut it into some coins. Now I'm gonna dig my brine. The salt is all dissolved. It's still nice and warm though. I'm gonna add that ginger and garlic. I'm gonna add 4 bay leaves, 5, I don't know who's counting. Now if I had cardamom pods, I would have used the pods, but I couldn't find them, so I'm using cardamom powder. That's 1 teaspoon or about 3 grams. I'm gonna add some thyme. That's 1 tablespoon, about 5 grams. And I'm gonna come in with all these spices that I just toasted. Now I'm just gonna let all that kind of sit in this warm water for a little while. Give it 5 or 10 minutes to just get to know itself. And we'll finish off this brine. My garlic and ginger and all the spices have been sitting in here, steeping in this warm water. It's time to add the rest of the water. So I got to put it back on a scale. Gonna tear this out. Now I know I needed 7,500 grams to make a 5% salt solution for my brine. I used 1,500, so I can do math. That means I need another 6,000 grams of water. I'm gonna add ice for part of that solution to help cool this down quick. All right, my brine's ready to go. I'm just gonna set it aside while I trim up my briskets. So what I have here is a USDA choice brisket. Might have got prime briskets, but they didn't have them at the store I was at. Did not feel like driving over to Costco. These choice briskets are gonna be delicious. So before I can get them into the brine, simply enough, I need to trim them. So let me show you how I'm gonna do that. So first thing I'm gonna do, I'm gonna open the package. I'm gonna always cut on this fat here, because that's coming out anyway. That way, careful, you can catch all the yuckies. Yeah, I'm just gonna pat it off a little bit, see what I'm working with. No ugly gashes. The last one I did had an ugly gash. I'm gonna start on this side with that decal fat where I opened the package. Probably get a better view if I flip this around. You can see, sometimes you can almost just separate this. It almost wants to just separate by your fingers. If not, you can just help it out with your knife, just with the tip. Looks like there's a lot of meat on there, but watch this. Cut that in half. There's not much meat in there. But that reminds me, I need my trim bowl, because this will be going into burgers or sausage. If I have too much fat, I will make tallow. The way you really respect an animal is by trimming it well, using the scrap well. I don't like how tall this is sitting over here. I'm gonna definitely take some of that out. Again, it's hard to do this at the right angle for the camera, but I don't like how tall that is. I'm just gonna bring it down. I'm gonna help this brisket sit flatter. That's pretty good. Pretty good. Get rid of a little of this extra fat. I'm not too worried about it, but I'll get rid of some of it. This isn't really a brisket trimming video. There's plenty of those on the internet. One of my favorites is by Bradley Robinson on Chud's Barbecue. Anyway, I'm just simply enough gonna get rid of this fat, as much of this silver skin as I easily can, although don't worry too much about it. Not really gonna worry too much down here, because I'm probably gonna get rid of some of that. Anything uneven, that just has to go. And I'm just gonna work my way around. Hey, you hear that funny sound? That's my charcuterie cabinet. Still a little high, that's better. Kind of round off these edges a little bit. You know, I'm not a pro. No one's expecting pro here, but we can still do the best job we know how to do. Okay, flip that bad boy over. Ugh. Here's my flat, and this point is sitting on top of it. And you can kind of feel this hard fat right here. So kind of right where this point meat starts diving over the flat, and I'm gonna basically scoop out that fat. Probably could have got a little more. I don't want to scalp it down here on the lean. Maybe could have dug more out here, you know, get rid of some of this kind of softer fat. This here, people call that the mohawk. That's just gonna cook weird, not do anything good. I'm gonna take it down, really it's about here. Take a little off the edge. You can take a little off this edge, and that's gonna show me where I need to finish up. Cutting that edge does show you where your fat is. I'm looking pretty okay right here. But on this side, you can see I still got quite a bit more fat than I want. So I'm just gonna keep working, slowly shaving that down until I get it where I want it. This is a little thin here, but this is actually nice over here. So I think what I'm gonna do is round that off a little bit. Ease this edge as much as a little bit. Just try to make it look pretty. Get rid of the sharp edges. Could get rid of a little more fat right here. A little fat on the fat there, but oh no, I'm feeling pretty good about this. Quick word on brisket. Really, frankly, anything. Good trimming job and good use of your trim. That's how you use an animal well. I got about 3.5 pounds. This is 80-20 for burgers. I got about 5 pounds, 70-30 I'm gonna use for sausages. I got another just about 5 pounds of straight fat. So out of my 42 pounds of brisket, got quite a bit of unused stuff if I were not to make good use of this. I hope these fit. I'm a little nervous. I wish I had a better container. But let's go in with the big boy first. Need to put a weight on here to keep this under. This is going in the fridge for 9 or 10 days.
Oh, it's been 10 days. Make sure there's no peppercorns or cloves or anything like that sticking in there. Now I'm just going to fill this up with water. If I were to just put a rub on this and smoke it, this would be so salty. So I'm going to let it sit in some fresh water in the refrigerator for about 8 hours. The main spices in the pastrami rub are black pepper and coriander. What I have here is actually 2 parts black pepper to 1 part coriander. And I'm going to take my trusty frying pan, put them in a dry pan. I'm going to bring these over to the heat and toast them off. Once the pepper and coriander start releasing their oil and becoming a little fragrant, put them into this spice grinder. Whoa, damn it. It will fluff up a lot once ground. All right, once those are toasted off and ground, I'm gonna add those in here. Black pepper and coriander is really all you need for a rub for a pastrami. That's the classic flavors. I'm gonna amp my rub up a little with 1 part paprika, 1 part granulated garlic, 1 part mustard, ground mustard, 1 part onion powder, and 1 part sugar. And then I'm just gonna mix those together. All right, now I got my brisket out of the desalinating water. It is desalinated for a good 8 hours. And I'm just gonna pat it dry and flip it over, dry the other side. So sometimes I just put the rub right on this directly. Sometimes I use an oil binder. But today, I'm gonna try a new thing. I'm gonna use beef tallow. And the reason it's so yellow is that I confit a few different roasts in this. I've confit some beef tails, ox tails, and a couple of pot roasts. And I'm just gonna put some rub on. Try to get a kind of even coating. Get it on the top and the sides. Get it all around everywhere. So I know it's called a rub, but don't rub your rub. So I'm going to put this on a sheet tray, stick it in my refrigerator uncovered just like this, leave it in there overnight, get smoking in the morning. It's a little before 6 in the morning and I'm getting my charcoal chimney started. This chimney has served me well, but I think it's time for a new one. It's getting to be a little dangerous. Just put the charcoal chimney in there. A couple of sticks of maple is what I'm going to be using right now. I might throw some cherry in too in this cook. In the meantime, I'm going to take this spray oil and tackle some of this rust. Running it, trying about 225. I just put these in so it's cooled down a second. Let's take a look. Just put these on here. Got the point side, fatter side over by the heat side. I got the bigger one up top because I know the heat's going to collect by my chimney. It is pushing what's really reasonable in this smoker. Yeah, the good old smoke canyon. I don't love it, but it's done good for me. Kind of want to see what's going on. I'm at about 225. Oh, it's bright out here. Sure, it's going to really give me a good show because of how bright it is. Starting to get pretty nice spark though. If you're wondering why I'm cooking a brisket on Thursday that's being served Saturday, it's because I want it to cool all the way and then I'm going to steam it before I serve it. That's the way they do it in the New York delis, so that's the way I'm going to do it. Reason I'm using maple and cherry today is those are woods that I have locally here on my own property, and they both burn really hot. Pretty nice clean smoke going. Let's see what this looks like in here. Take a look at what's going on. Looks like I'm gonna need another log. I don't want that dirty smoke. I want that smoke, that clean smoke. Nice clean smoke. Running about 225. Everything's good. Well, after 10 hours, I'm still sitting here in the stall at about 166 degrees. I am gonna wrap these. Often I will cook a pastrami without wrapping it, but I want to get through this. It's really good bark. I'm feeling good about it. But anyway, let's give it a wrap. Stall is when the
starts pushing out so much water from the inside. It's just like when you sweat. That sweat, it cools your outside. That's what's happening. Pushing the water out and it's cooling the outside faster than it can heat the inside. And so it just stays at the same temperature for sometimes hours. But wrapping and boosting the temperature will get you out of it. But what I have going on here is I put the briskets on a rack in these hotel pans with boiling water underneath them, and I've got them steaming. This should take about an hour and a half or two. So this is the fat that rendered off when I wrapped those 2 briskets in foil. This is what was left in the foil. Saved it, I heated it back up, and now we're gonna give it some little bit of that extra love before we wrap it up. Oh yeah, the love. Putting this in the cooler for all day is really not going to be enough. What I'm going to do is I'm going to wrap it up in a towel. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to wrap that towel in another towel. And then I'm going to wrap both these towels up in the cooler. I'm going to wrap them both in a blanket before I put them in the cooler. And that, I'm hoping, is going to keep them nice and hot, well above 140 all day.
Ooh, it's tender. It's jiggling.
Oh yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Gee, that's money.
Yeah, even the flat, even the lean's pretty juicy.
Oh man. Yeah, that's money. That looks good.